Hello, I want to welcome you to my video, What to Do When You Can't Lose Weight. Hi, my name is Dr. Tread Rissacker, and I'm a doctor of chiropractic, and I get this question a lot, what to do when you can't lose weight? Now, it's important to understand that, without knowing how old you are, or your gender, or your past history, it's really hard for me to determine why you can't lose weight. So what I'm going to give you is the most common reason why people over 50 cannot lose weight versus when you're younger. This is where hormones come really into play, okay? So trying to lose weight is, just so you understand, it's really not your fault that you keep putting on fat. In fact, to be skinny and to go around being skinny all the time, year after year, would be very counterintuitive because your ancestors would have perished if they were too skinny. In other words, your body's ability to survive is to be able to put on a reasonable amount of fat or weight whenever and however it can. Your ancestors strive to put on fat. We lived in a food scarce world, and summer and fall there was a lot of food available for your ancestors, and the winter was coming, and their ability to survive 4 or 5 or 6 months in the winter, wherever that might be, has a lot to do with how much body fat they're carrying in when they go into there. So fat is very precious. And it was very common for most humans 10,000 years ago to starve to death over the winter. Today, in our industrialized world, fortunately, we have an abundance of food all year round, and the chances of running out of food are very slim indeed. But with that said, this excess food availability every day, every year, through the winter, through the summer, through the winter, is accumulating this weight on us and making it much harder to maintain a healthy body weight. So if you're lucky enough to maintain a healthy body weight through most of your life, and now you're 50, 60 years old and you're wondering why you have this stubborn fat, this is the solution for you. So your body's internal wisdom to crave sugar over starches is really important, because fat is made better from things that are sweet. Fiber and vegetables do not make fat very good. However, fruit, mangoes, lots of things that are sweet and fatty make fat very quickly. So that's one of the reasons why we crave it over other foods. Your body is worried about a possible famine or starvation. And this stays with us today. So if we look back at our ancestors, food was scarce and we couldn't make enough. Fat is precious. If you were fortunate enough to survive the famine and had extra fat left over, then those fat cells, then your body is not going to give them up just because you don't like the way you look. You might need some help, as a matter of fact. The fact is, your fat cells are forever. They don't go away. You don't wish them away. You can't will them away. The only way to get rid of fat is to be hungry. And even that is difficult because of all of the many reasons we eat, the fact that we're carrying so much fat around. So another thing that really has a lot to do with it are your hormonal levels. And that could be your thyroid, the amount of estrogen, the testosterone you have, and also any medications you might have been put on. Antidepressants can create weight gain, so do steroidal medications, and really just stress, because stress creates cortisol. And cortisol is a hormone that makes it where you have to have high blood sugar because you think you're going to fight. High blood sugar leads to fat storage, eventually can lead to diabetes. So your problem might not be from overeating at all. Now we come into our 40s, 50s, and 60s in women and men. And for some reason it becomes harder to lose weight. And this is because your hormones are starting to change. You're no longer in childbearing years at this point. Your sexual hormones are not as important as they were when you were able to have kids. So as those hormones start to drop down and the ratio changes, you're going to start to develop surface subcutaneous fat. In doctors, we call it being estrogen dominant. Now in a female, estrogen dominance is excessive fat accumulation around her abdomen, her hips, and her thighs for the most part. In the male, estrogen dominance causes excessive fat accumulation mainly in the central abdominal area and the chest, called male boobs. It is a fact The hormonally related outside fat accumulation does not respond to exercise and diet the same as when you were younger. So this belly fat can also be due to overeating, and it could be, but a lot of people get very confused about this. In fact, a lot of people will blame their overweight on the fact that they had a couple of glasses of wine every couple days, the fact that they eat ice cream a little bit at night. They blame it on the bread that they had at lunch. And really, these are not the cause as much as the hormones are a cause. They contribute, but it's really a hormonal thing. So that is because for most people over 50, and my business and my practice is built on this, most people are over 50 that come in here that need help with that outer fat. There's a hormonal component, and I promise you, 1,000 sit-ups and 500 calories a day might not fix the problem. There's a lot of new procedures that are available, such as non-invasive body sculpting. And there's many processes out there that are all targeting this outer layer of stubborn fat. We call it subcutaneous fat. Now this fat goes by many, many names, such as belly fat, muffin tops, love handles, flabby arms, back fat, or thunder thighs. Yeah, these are all the way people describe these areas of fat accumulation. They all have pet names for them. All the procedures out there, except what I'm doing here at my LipoSpa, from liposuction to fat freezing to fat burning to radio frequency to tightening high energy pulsed magnetic waves, all these procedures, not what we're doing, they can cause damage, but what they're doing is they're using energy to destroy the fatty tissue that's just under the skin. So they all require some downtime, possible pain, swelling, and possible burns, and lumpy, bumpy appearances following the required 3 months of healing time. And so one of the things is they don't work well if you're over 30% body fat. That's because you need to lose weight. In other words, your belly girth really because of the inner fat, not just the outer fat. And since these procedures only treat the outer fat, it's no wonder that most people who use these procedures are unhappy with the results. Now, let me tell you about my process, which treats that same area, but it won't hurt you and it won't be painful and there's no downtime. And I truly believe it's a better process because it leaves you with less body fat and you're healthier. Now, as a practitioner of natural health, I saw the problem with these outer processes. These are the processes that are applied outside of the body to treat this outer fatty layer. And then I was introduced to a better way. A machine that could target these same fatty deposits without harming or damaging the tissue. And it also gave better, quicker results than all those procedures added together, and I mean that honestly. The machine I am talking about is an FDA-cleared device called the Lapex BCS. Now the BCS stands for Body Contouring System. When I saw how it does not damage the tissue, but was super effective at shrinking and contouring the fatty areas, I knew it could be a home run. This is because it shrinks the fatty tissue and doesn't damage the fatty tissue. It applies a very gentle, low-level energy to the fat cells, causing little microscopic pores to form, and then the fatty cells release the contents. Now, fatty cells look like grapes. After 10 minutes of applying this low energy to the fat cells, the fatty acid, the water, and the glycerol are released from the fat cells. And then the energy is removed by the lymphatic system naturally and then burned by the body as energy. There is no damage to the cells like the other processes. And after 2 weeks, the cells following our Lapex BCS are completely intact and they go back to normal. And I want you to know that's a good thing. You don't want your fat cells to be sucked out, removed from the body, because that creates a possibility of what they call fat migration. Anytime you remove tissue, your body can then grow fat in other areas. And my summary is you need to treat the outer compartment versus the inner compartment. The outer compartment is the subcutaneous fatty layer, which does not respond to diet and exercise the same as visceral fat. Visceral fat will always respond to diet and exercise. The outer fat will not. This is a little summary sheet that shows exactly what I'm talking about. And you see the red line is the subcutaneous fat, stubborn, and the blue is the visceral fat, responds to diet and exercise. So most of you out there that are trying to lose weight and you've plateaued, have hormonal issues, and you're not dealing with the outer fat, you need help from outside the body. And that's my opinion. Thank you for tuning in. And if you like what you hear, hit the share button, send this to a friend, maybe somebody that could benefit from it. I sure appreciate it. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.